What if the question isn't what is wrong with us? What if it's more like what happened to us? I know that's a big question. Before we go any further, take a slow, deep breath. Notice your body. Notice your breathing and whatever is here without trying to change it. Then quietly ask yourself, am I here? My name is Mamie. I'm a counsellor. But before I'm a counsellor, I'm a human being. And I'm only trying to make sense of the world that I find myself living in. These videos I make are not answers. They are reflections, they are observations, they are questions and patterns I've noticed in my counselling room, in my own life, and in conversations I have with my friends and people I meet. Some come from attachment theory, some come from existential philosophy, stoicism, some from religion, some from sociology, some anthropology, history, and even neuroscience. And some simply come from sitting with another human and listening and sharing a decent conversation. You don't have to agree with me, and I'm not asking you to. I'm inviting you to be curious with me. Again, if I'm honest, my YouTube channel is born out of something I've been sitting with for a long time, especially this particular series I'm doing now. I've been sitting with it in my heart for a very, very long time. It breaks my heart to see human beings longing for connection and yet finding themselves increasingly alone, even when they're together. It breaks my heart to see couples who still love one another but struggle to know how to reach for each other. It breaks my heart to meet a woman who's been carrying for years relationships until they've forgotten to carry themselves. And it breaks my heart to meet men who have spent years carrying responsibilities, expectations, and silent burdens, and yet still feel they have nowhere else to go. They have nowhere to be themselves. The more people I meet, the more I find myself asking this question. What happened to us? Because I don't think we're only living through a relationship crisis or a mental health crisis or an economic crisis. I wonder whether we're living through a crisis of disconnection. From ourselves, from one another, from our community, from our bodies, from our nature, more importantly, from meaning and belonging. What I'm noticing is that many men and many women genuinely want the same thing. They want to feel loved and they want to feel chosen. They want to feel safe and they want to feel understood. Let me know if that's not you, because I know it is. Yet they often seem to be operating from completely different planes of experience, almost as though they're pinned against each other by forces they don't fully understand or recognize. And I wonder if that is the greatest tragedy of our time. I don't think either person is the enemy. I think both people have inherited different ways of surviving in the same world. Women have often been conditioned to nurture, to care, to absorb, and to overfunction for their relationships, to hold relationships together. Whilst men, on the other hand, have often been conditioned to provide, endure, suppress emotion, to keep going and carry responsibility without complaint. It seems these are different expectations, different burdens, different survival strategies, culturally, not psychologically, because that's another layer, isn't it? Your attachment, how you were raised in your particular household, how attuned your family was. I'm talking about culturally, that implicit message that we get, and sometimes even explicit, boys don't cry. Girl, wipe your tears and go make the dinner. Then they meet in the relationship, each asking the other to speak a language they have never been taught how to speak. It seems to me that we are asking one another to do incredibly difficult things without taking into account the history. recognizing the history, recognizing the culture that we come from, that we are in, that we've been in, and more importantly, the system that has shaped us long before we met. We have more technology than any generation that has come before us. More knowledge, more freedom, more opportunity, and yet so many people tell me implicitly and sometimes explicitly that they feel lonely. Even inside marriages, surrounded by people and successful by the world's standards. How can that be? Seriously, how can that be? Why is that? I think we spend a lot of time focusing on treating the symptoms than stopping to really ask ourselves, where does it come from? Where does it originate from? What are the roots of this problem? People come to my therapy sessions with anxiety, overfunctioning, perfectionism, depression, loneliness, emotional shutdown, fear of vulnerability, fear of being seen, lack of confidence, burnout, fibromyalgia, eczema, insomnia, IBS. The list goes on. What are all these things asking us? Are all these struggles, all these afflictions that I've listed, are they pointing us to something, to a deeper question, to something deeper? This endless pursuit of success at all costs that we're treating the symptoms of rather than the real depth, the real root of the problems? I don't know, but I would like us to be curious together. Throughout this series, we will explore attachment, belonging, love, identity, capitalism, community, emotional labor, loneliness, purpose, and what it means to be human in a rapidly changing world. These are my thoughts. I just want you to join me. Later in the series, I want to explore why so many men seem to be struggling quietly and what it means to be a good man in today's world. I also want to explore women's experiences, emotional labor, and the changing nature of relationships. Not to defend one side and or criticize the other side, but to understand both with this greater conversation. Because these are things I think about. These are things I've experienced and I am continuing to experience. And I don't want to be alone in it. Systems do shape us, right? Our families shape us. Our culture shapes us. Our economy shapes us. Every economy in time and history has shaped us. And we're continuing to be shaped and being asked to change and adapt. But I'm not saying that understanding these influences takes away the onus and the responsibility, our own responsibility. It does not remove our own responsibilities to be good human, to be kind, to be empathetic, to be accountable, to be responsive, to be attentive, to be accessible, to take care of each other. In many ways, I think these systems give us a way into the discussion, somewhere to begin. I want to invite women to recognize where they are overfunctioning and where that has become self-abandonment for them. I invite men to recognize where their strength or where strength has become emotional isolation, that you have to do it all by yourself and be quiet when it's hard. Push it all the way down. I'm not forcing you to look into yourself and look at these structures that have conditioned you to be culturally who you are now, or this idea of who you are. I'm only encouraging you to have courage and be brave to explore this with me and be curious about your own nature. This is simply not a series for pitting men and women against each other. As I said, this is something I really hold so dear, and it actually breaks my heart when I think about it, how we can be so separate but together. For me, the series is about choosing humanity. It's about choosing to really be with the systems that have created us. How do we integrate that in a way that we can really be present? My hope here is that somewhere in these conversations, you will feel less alone, that you will understand yourself a little bit more deeply, and perhaps understand the systems that have formed you a little bit more deeply. But consider these YouTube videos as a place for you to reflect and to be, rather than to learn. I can't teach you about you. Only you can explore yourself. One last thing I want to say is that some ideas might resonate with you, some might not. Some might challenge you, and some you may completely disagree with. And that's okay. The purpose isn't to be certain about what I'm talking about. Can we ever really be certain about anything? Especially when it comes to feelings and emotions and attachment and togetherness and relational stuff. Can we ever be certain? The purpose of my channel is to spark curiosity. I believe that the answers that we're looking for do not begin with fixing one another, fixing each other. I think that they begin with becoming present enough to ask the questions. Before you go, as always, take a moment to breathe slow with me. Notice your body. Notice what came up for you as you listened. And ask yourself, where in my life have I become disconnected? What am I truly longing for? What stories or story have I inherited without asking questions? Am I truly seeing the people I love, or am I only seeing the roles we've been assigned, the roles we've been taught to play? And if I slowed down long enough to really notice, what might I discover about myself? These aren't questions to answer today. They are questions to keep living with. Until next time.